happy with the shutout. Obviously, anytime you can do that, and the way the defense played in the second half in particular, holding them to 17 total yards, 8 3 and outs, and continue to play well on third down. Got a few more plays in their backfield. Offensively, keeping the ball, for 40-some minutes and having great balance and time of possession and just being consistent. I thought we didn't start as good as I was hoping. We had obviously the first play, their defensive end got to Jacoby, beat Joe there off the edge, and then the second play we held him, and then after that I thought we settled in. I thought Joe really played well after the first two plays, Joe Tooney. We did increase our explosive plays. We had 4 passes over 20 yards, and we were able to limit theirs, which was a problem in game 1, and made an improvement that area defensively. We were 6 coming up here on a stretch. 6 of the next 8 games are on the road, so I really have to work hard on doing what we've done, consistently at home and taking it with us, which at the end of the year we did a good job finishing. Played well at South Florida early in the season, and then with Syracuse, UNC, and then our bowl game, just continuing with that preparation and making sure the guys understand how to handle different places, different locker rooms, different fields, different crowds. The routine will be very similar, but the locations are different. Excited to play Old Dominion, and they have a sellout, I've been told, so should have a great crowd. And they're 2-0. Last year came here, and so we're familiar with what they do. They are different offensively. Their tailback's leading the nation in rushing, Lowry. So last year they really featured their quarterback, who was a great player, and I believe he made the Vikings roster. So good for him. Their defense is active up front. I think their D-line has gotten better. They're playing active. They're using their hands well. They've tackled well defensively in the first 2 games. They've got 4 takeaways and 4 sacks. For us, it's just a continuation of trying to improve on the little things and details. Our preparation and focus will be really key. I think just being a good road team, that's what it's about. It's just focusing on us and what we can control, understanding that their crowd's going to have their traditions and their songs and what they do when they get a first down and all those things, but we really control how much they do it by how we play. So we just got to do a good job of controlling every situation we can and continuing to get better as a team. Questions?
Coach, I think you'll bring Chad back this week. With the way that Matt's been going, how does that kind of work, and what would you like to see out of him?
Well, it works well. I think we've been rotating. Matt's had 50-some plays in the last 2 games, which is a lot. And DeQuay and Reggie have gotten quite a few balls. Brady got some, so it also helps us with some of the packages that we haven't shown. So there's some more things that we can do personnel-wise now that he's back, and really David, Greenwich is probably back to full strength finally too, and so to be able to use him more. But it gets us back to where we want to be, being able to play those 2 together and then rotate them where they're fresh. And I think it'll help them throughout the course of the season. And I look forward to having them, because I think their running styles are so different. Even though it's the same play, it's fit differently because of how they play. Shad's more of a guy that presses things and runs through contact, and Matt can make people miss and has really good cutting ability. It creates problems, and both of them are good out in space, and having them and Jay Sam and David Greenwich and Naheem, I just feel like we have some good weapons that we can move around on offense and be versatile with.
Coach, earlier Justin Burris said that you guys won't be taking ODU lightly. What do you think will be the key to getting some points up on the board early on and then maintaining that level of play through the second half?
It's just execution. I think whatever the play is, it's really not the magic of the deal. It's how we execute what the play is, and whether it's a simple run or a 3-step or a screen or a deep ball. All of them have to be executed. And defensively, again, not giving up big plays. They will take chances as a football team. A season ago, I think they surprised onside, kicked 5 times as a football team, so they're going to take chances. They've got all the screens, and then they have all the fake plays off the screens and the throwback plays, and you know they've always been an explosive offense under Coach Wilder. So they've been pretty vanilla in the first 2 games and relied a lot on the run game. So you know hopefully we'll be able to stop the run and put them into an offense that they haven't had to run in the first 2 games.
Thank you. You talked on it. Justin said the same focus on taking this team on the road, but technically, how far along is this team in respect to where you want it to be in this season? Just across the board, Jacoby's got a great completion percentage, defense is posted a shutout. But where is this team in the big picture?
We've gotten better from week 1 to week 2, and I think that's where we're at. You know, I can't tell you until we keep going, but we've gotten better. I don't want to compare it to last year's team because it's not last year's team. You know, we're better in week 2 than we were in week 1. And the things we're asking the guys to do, you see them trying to do those things. They're very coachable. And I'm impressed with our return game. Last year, that was a weakness for our football team. And Braylon Cherry's really helped us, and now the guys are straining to block for him. There's some great blocks on those returns. And, but, you know, we got a lot of things we need to do before I can tell you where we're at. You know.
In terms of clean play, minimizing penalties is always, you want none, always, but is that one of the biggest areas of improvement you still want to see from your team?
It is. I mean, we'll always stress not beating ourselves. And, you know, we had more penalties this week than last. I do think the game was called closer, too. There were some plays that usually don't get called and were, and that's just the way it is, you know. But, you know, the players need to play with technique and play aggressive and understand, you know, what's going to get called and what isn't, and then adjust kind of as you go. Some games they let you play more than others, and so every game's a little different that way. But we're always going to fight hard not to beat ourselves with penalties and turnovers.
And you know, you guys been pretty balanced so far offensively between run and pass. Now that you're likely going to be at full strength this week with running backs, do you see that skewing more towards a little bit more run heavy, or do you like the balance you guys have so far?
No, I don't ever want to be one-dimensional. I mean, to me, if we can continue to be down the path we're on, where everybody's involved, I mean, that's what makes your team play harder too in practice. If they all know they can get the ball at any time, they're going to understand that. And how you stop getting it is stop giving it to them. You know, I mean, you got. If I'm Ramos, I want to play hard, knowing that I could get. He's got 10 catches in 2 games. You know, I mean, that's great. So does Jay Sam, but I know, you know, Cherry's fighting to get more balls. So does Austin's, and you know, Naheem had 2 drops, and he came back with a good catch and run. So, I mean, you can see the guys understand they just got to keep making plays, and they'll keep getting them. And the backs are going to run hard because they know there's 4 of them back there now. So it's fun. Yeah, it's fun to see that. We just got to get healthy on the line of scrimmage now and get those guys back.
I don't know if you can have a universal policy with violations or rule breaking in terms of one player over and over. But are you comfortable with the number of chances that you've given Shad, and do you have to have a conversation with him like 3 strikes and you're out, or is it, you know, how does that kind of work a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, every single player that I've ever dealt with, it always comes down to, do I think there's reason to continue to work with this guy? Is he remorsed? Is he going to get better? Is this hurting our football team? And at some point you reach, no, I can't help him anymore, I'm done. And with him, I didn't feel that way, you know. And, you know, he's the best him that he's been since I've been here right now. I'm excited that he gets to play, and he's been through a lot that he's brought on himself, and he's learned from it. But if I felt like, you know, I couldn't help him anymore, he wouldn't be here.
You guys have, Jacoby's been really, really almost ridiculously efficient as far as passing numbers so far this year. What challenges does going on the road, and you talked a little bit about being in a hostile environment, those things, what kind of challenges does that put on your offense, and do you expect any, you know, is it reasonable to expect some kind of dip in those efficiency numbers?
Well, you know, at home they're not loud on 3rd down, you know, on offense. On the road, that's the difference, you know, and when he's going in to score a touchdown, they're going to be loud, you know. And so now it's just functioning with the crowd noise and making sure that the communication with the protections or the routes or the formations or whatever the play calls for, that everybody's on the same page. So we'll practice with the speakers on high and make sure it's really loud. It's also you know, a different surface, and so we'll be practicing either in the indoor or on our turf field all week so that we're used to the field turf. Our kicker's kicking off of it, but for him, it's just running the offense with noise. That's it.
You mentioned the health of the offensive line, Barr, with
Yeah.
his either foot or ankle. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with him, but is he okay, or is that something?
Yeah,
you can
it's
figure out?
lower leg, and you know, it's day to day. It's not a surgical type deal. It's more in the sprain variety. So the trainer will be up here about an hour to talk to me about where he's at. So it's hopefully good news, but I haven't heard one way or the other where he is today. You know, he was in a boot for precaution after the game and wasn't on crutches or any of that kind of stuff that I saw. Bradbury's a lot better, so I'm hoping to hear good news about him because that would help to get him back. He was playing he was backing up Barr at one time, so you know, we'll have some different guys while we cross-trained. You know, Tyler Jones and has played left guard as well, and obviously, you know, Tyrone Prescott's a guy that can play guard and center. John Toohey's a guy that played guard and center. And Bryce Kennedy played a lot in the game, so that was good for him to get those reps because he may be the starter there this week. So we'll just have to see how it shakes out. And Joe, obviously, Tooney can move in there too. That's an option. But we'd love to get Bradbury back and give us one more guy that we can play.
On defense, do you expect McKeever and Tocho back and playing?
We could have played Jack in the game, and Coach just didn't feel like it was worth doing. Thought one more week would help him. And Farrell practiced last week, and the way the other guys were playing, you know, the way compared to how he practiced, he was out for almost a month, you know. So Coach Nielsen just didn't feel comfortable putting him in yet. So I'll have to see how he practices to answer your question. But I would assume Jack will play this week, and you know, that'll really be based on what Coach Barlow sees in practice.
With Samuels, he seems like something of a secret weapon, although after the touchdowns, he's not much of a secret anymore. But
Yeah.
what do you think makes him effective? He's not the biggest dude, and he's probably not the fastest dude, but he seems like he scores every time he touches the ball.
He's just hard to tackle, and he's got great ball skills and vision, and he's a football player. He's really strong. I mean, that's the thing. People don't understand how strong that kid is. I mean, we back him down. I mean, he can get over 500 pounds on the squat rack and do it really easily. So, I mean, he's a really strong kid. But the thing that's great is he was trained like we're playing him. So, like, he was a receiver his freshman and sophomore year. He played receiver and H-back. And then his junior and senior year, he played receiver and tailback. So he's done all these things his whole career. And so for us, we're just using the skill set that he came here with. And, you know, it's nice to be in a system where you can put him in a lot of places and let him do what he does.
What kind of progression did he have to make for you to give him more? Because I'm thinking of the Syracuse fake punt is when I'm really thinking he really started to make a move there when you maybe got some more trust in him.
There's just a lot of things terminology-wise that takes a little bit of time for some guys, and for him, because of his role as it is, he's doing a lot. So, and the blocking part was probably the thing that came last for him because he didn't do it in high school. So he had to be able to protect or block the edges. And, you know, we use them on power plays, we use them on zone plays, we use them on sprint out plays where he's blocking it in. So that was probably the last thing that he had to earn Coach Faulkner's trust with before there was more of a role.
He feels like the opposite in terms of personality to Days to me. He seems like he's somewhat of a talker right now.
Who's that?
Samuels, they say.
Compared to who?
Days.
Yeah, no, you're not going to get much out of Matt.
Yeah.
He doesn't say a lot. Wish we had more guys like that. He's great.
Do you see Michael Ramos kind of emerging as your go-to downfield wide receiver?
Well, he's shown that in 2 games, you know. I mean, again, I still think there's a lot of growth that's going to happen on our team, you know. When you play as many young guys as we have, you know, Naheem, his upside is really high. And so as he starts to be more and more confident, and he dropped 2 balls, which shook him up, and then he came back with a nice play. And there's going to be a time where all of a sudden it starts slowing down and he's not nervous anymore, and then all of a sudden he's going to look faster because he is really fast when he's playing confident football. And so that's another guy that could be a down the field threat for us. I think right now J. Mike and Jacoby have a good chemistry